you're progressing with the course, and just generally checking up on you, how you're submitting assignments, and are you making progress in terms of completion.
Okay.
So let me. The recording is on now. So let me just quickly do one thing, which I have to, and then we will start. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. We're going to start off with systems demo first. And this is primarily because of the fact that there are lots of things that you're going to be accessing with us over a point in time. So the idea is to become familiar with some of the systems that you're going to be using. And that would give you confidence to know where your course material is and, things like that. So let me just put this into context here. And one or two quick things which I want to check with you. So are you attending the induction on a laptop? What device are you using?
A laptop.
All right, okay, that's great. So you have a good enough screen which is big enough for you to be able to see. So
Yes.
what we'll do is we'll start with the website. So the website for us, a lot of people call it a website. We call it the digital campus, keeping in mind, this particular site essentially allows you to do pretty much everything that you need to in terms of, getting hold of information with regards to anything at UK Versity. So when you look at this site, there are a couple of things that I want to bring to your notice. One is when you're on the homepage, this particular banner that you see, the purple banner, essentially gives you the bits of how you can get in touch. So if you need to write to us, admin at UK University, this is a mailbox, which is a monitored mailbox. You can get a response from us 24/7, 365 days a year. If you need to reach us at the college, that's the switchboard number. So you can ring us on this number, and Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m., we'll be able to respond to you on this. Then we also are reachable on WhatsApp. So you are added to the WhatsApp group. And this WhatsApp group, for the health and social care, if you have any urgent queries, any issues, anywhere you get stuck, or if you need anything, you can also message us on that. And pretty much the responses on that are almost instant. Now, apart from this, if I take you over to just briefly introducing the team. So these are the people who are going to be behind the course delivery and obviously teaching and learning. So that's me. You see me here. Amrita, she looks after your registration, enrollments, and assessments, and then finally towards certification. We have Jill. She's the course coordinator. She's the one who's going to be sending across Zoom invites to you when you attend sessions with lecturers. Gartha is one of the student administrators, and obviously she'll be in touch with you with regards to your course progress. You have Grace, which essentially looks after IT and Moodle. So if you have any issues with regards to any resources, if you forget, or you need any recording of this session if you missed, then all those would come across from Grace. Aman generally is also one of the student coordinators. He would also be in touch with you from time to time. Things like when you submit assignments and when they are not meeting the guidelines, things like that, there would be people who would get in touch with you. Because you're on an installment, so sometimes you'll get to hear from Heta. She's in finance. And when you make your regular payments on the invoice, these are automatically, refreshed and updated. But if you do a bank transfer, then obviously updated invoice would be sent across by Heta, and she's in finance. Now, as far as the teachers are concerned, who are teaching the course, there are three lecturers in particular. Daniel, he teaches health and social care. You have Syed Mazhar, who teaches health and social care, and Dr. Anita, which also teaches health and social care. So some of the sessions that you would do essentially would come across from some of these lecturers. And there are 6 units that you're going to be studying in your course. So obviously these 6 units that you study, they would essentially be taught by different people over a point in time, so that you see different lecturers, and obviously each of them teaches the unit, which is predominantly a specific unit with them in terms of their specialty. Now, there are other tutors as well, but obviously sometimes you would not get in touch with them simply because they might not be involved in your course delivery. But some of the assessments on the course is done by Reena. She's the lead assessor. And when the work is checked by quality for quality assurance and looking at, awarding body guidelines, then Shazia would look at your work to confirm the grades which assessors have given with regards to your unit and submission of assignments.
Okay.
Now, one of the quick things which I want to mention is sometimes what tends to happen is that when you are out and about and when you do think that you need some information and that is not coming across to you, so how do you get hold of that information? You see this option which says 24/7 customer support, and you click on this option called Chat with Us. Now, when you click on this option, Chat with Us, what happens is it launches a new window and it allows you to ask any question that you would want to on the course or with UK Versity. So can you think of any question which comes to your mind?
Not for now.
Any question which you can think of?
No. Like, okay, how long does this course usually take?
So let's ask this question here. How long does the ATHE Level 3 Diploma in Health and Social Care? So I would say, what is the duration? What is the duration of the course? So basically just rewording the question that you asked, and I'm going to ask this to the campus digital website, and it says the course is 12 to 16 weeks long, which is what it is. So if you think of any question that you want to ask, you can go onto the website. I don't know in terms of, if I think of a question like, okay, what are the career option, available after completing the level 3 diploma in health and social care. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, I'm just thinking of one, and you press enter, it should give you an option and it should answer what you would essentially want to read. So here it says, after finishing a level 3 diploma, you can progress to higher education course like a level 4. You can pursue a degree program. You can go into employment opportunities as a support worker, senior support worker, care assistant in the health and social care sector. Now, sometimes your questions could be, who is the healthcare tutor? So if I mention that, it'll give you an option straight away who are the healthcare tutors. So, you would get those things pretty much, straight away from the, website. And all you have to do is click on the chat with us. Sometimes if you don't get a response on email, which would never happen, or on the phone, that website could be opened up on the phone, and this option of chat with us is available. And obviously we are able to, help you with that aspect. Now, the second thing that I would ask you to do is when you look at systems, if I scroll down to the home page and I click on the YouTube option. Now, YouTube is also going to be quite important simply because what is required is that when we do lectures, what we are doing is we are uploading them on YouTube simply because it's a free repository. And the other bit is that learners which are outside the UK, sometimes you look at bandwidth in internet connectivity and things like that, they would be able to get hold of these lectures pretty easily. So when you click on playlist, because we teach 166 courses, so when you click on playlist, what you'll need to do is scroll down to health and social care management or healthcare management playlist. So because we have lots of courses, we've grouped them into different categories. So health and social care management, if you click on that, you'd probably see there are in excess of 427 videos here, and they are labeled across, with the names of the courses. So ATHE Level 3 Diploma in Health and Social Care, and that is one of the units. If you want to look at other videos, academic research skills, communication skills, those are labeled, and you'd be able to watch these videos, straight away. Now, the reason why I mentioned YouTube to you is that if you subscribe to YouTube for the duration that you're studying the course, when we do upload a new video, on YouTube, you'd get a notification to say a new health and social care video related to your course has been uploaded, by us onto the, onto the portal. So this is the second platform. The third one that you're getting onto using is Zoom. So as you've had no problems getting onto Zoom, every time when we send you a link, all you have to do is basically click on that link and be able to get onto that platform and obviously get into this session. The fourth one that we're going to be using, which is the most important one, is the Moodle platform. Now, Moodle is the platform in which we are basically going to help you get all the teaching and learning material. Now, there are two things that you can do on Moodle. Just before you log in, On the outside, we have an option where you can set this up on your smartphone as well, or a tablet. And should you wish to have access to your course material, even when you're traveling or when you have free time or when you're away from the PC or laptop, you'd be able to get pretty much all the content across, but only difference being if it's on the phone, it's going to be a smaller screen.
Yeah.
Now you can install this on your phone very easily by downloading an app which is called the Moodle app. It's a free app. Once you download this app, you'll need 3 things to be able to set it up, and that setup would require you to have the website address where Moodle is installed, and your username, which is always in small letters, and your password. As long as you have these 3 things with you, you should be able to set this up on your phone or tablet within 30 seconds after downloading the app. Now, this will make available all the course material to you, which is presentation, lectures, books, handouts, anything that we put out in terms of assignment briefs, everything would be available to you from this particular app, just like you would access it on the laptop. Now, the other bit that we have uploaded here which is controlled from the system, is that when you look at resetting your password. So what tends to happen is sometimes I forget my username and forget my password. This is driven by the system. So what you can do is when you click on this option on the top, which says forget or forgotten your username and password, if you click here, it'll ask you to enter your email address. And the moment you enter your email address and press search and continue, what it will do is essentially send you a reset link to your email instantly. And you'd be able to set up your username or password, recover your password or set a new password. And that will happen pretty much instantly. As you can see, it is driven by the system. So you don't need anybody we don't need any human intervention here. And this is typically driven by the system itself. Now, for the purposes of the course, I'm going to log in as the administrator and obviously show you your course. Now, when you put your username on the top here and the password and click this green arrow, it allows you to log in. And when you have logged in, how do you access your course? There are 2 ways of looking at it. When you scroll down, you'd see under My Courses, the course that you're enrolled in here, which will be visible. The other way would be you're doing an ATHE level 3 course in health and social care. So you click on the menu on the top, and then you click the ATHE L3 health and social care course, and that would allow you to get into your course. Now, when I look at getting into this particular course, what we are looking at today in terms of being focused on is a couple of things which are related to the pre-enrollment section of the course. This is the bit that we will go through today in terms of our induction. So we look at the course handbook very briefly to go through the units and understand what all is required. We look at Harvard referencing. There are some good handouts that we've created, which are command verbs, declaration of originality, which is there, that you would need. And there are some other documents which I'll point and signpost that for your attention, so that when you do submit assignments at a later stage, you are having those documents available. Now, how is the course material organized on this particular portal? Now, they are organized in units. As you would see, there would be a unit. Each of the unit will be a heading. And then underneath the unit heading, there'll be a couple of documents, different types of documents that you'll be able to access. Now, there are 6 units in this course. So each of them are, obviously mentioned. As you can see, these units will have a lot of content in them. Now, what is the content and what type of content is uploaded in these units? So the first and foremost that you would see is generally in any unit that you look at, there'll be what is called a unit specification and assignment brief on the top. Now, these are bits that we use to teach and deliver the qualification. This is coming from the course handbook. They are PDF documents, and they would essentially tell you about the units, the credits, what are the learning outcome and assessment criteria. And it'll also give you an idea in terms of how many sessions will be there for each of these unit that we will do to cover them in detail. And then we can't just teach you anything. So the awarding organization has given us indicative content, and this indicative content is then used to create presentations. So if I look at this unit, just as an example, unit 4, which is working in health and social care, this is a 15 credit unit. It is a graded unit, pass, merit, and distinction. And there are 6 assessment criteria in this unit. So there'll be 7 lectures to cover this particular unit. In each assessment, in each learning outcome, which is shown here, and the assessment criteria, which can get converted into tasks later, we do lectures on the basis of learning outcomes and assessment criteria. So for every unit, there'll be a unit specification brief, which is given, and that will also have the assignment brief. So some units have 3 learning outcomes, some have 4, some have 5, some have 6. So depending on the number of learning outcomes, there'll be number of lectures to cover that unit. So in this case, this is the second unit, research. And as you can see, there are 3 learning outcomes. So we'll have 4 lectures for this. Now, why do we add an additional lecture for the unit? The additional lecture for the unit is added so that we discuss in detail the assignment brief of that unit. It is also a lecture. How to put together that assignment, how to do the assignment for the unit so that you get it right, because these are graded qualifications. And in the assignments, you can only submit them once if they are submitted, and we can provide one feedback to you. And after that, the assignment has to be graded as per the awarding body guidelines. You do not have the option to submit the assignments 2 times, 3 times. It is to be submitted once. You can get feedback on it and then revise or amend to make changes and then do a final submission. So one resubmission is allowed. So what we would tend to do in an assignment discussion session after the unit is completed, we discuss the assignment in detail and literally tell you how to do the assignment, how to format a document, how to make the table of contents, how to write the tasks down, how much is too much in terms of evidence, what evidence in the task has to be detailed enough. So those are bits which are discussed in the assignment brief and the assignment discussion session. After that, what you're going to generally find is presentations for the learning outcomes. Now, they are quite detailed because we tend to cover everything that we have discussed in the unit and the indicative content in the presentation. And these presentations provide you about 85 to 90% knowledge, which is required to read the unit. So they are very worded, unlike when we make and go to trainings and presentations, you normally see 3 bullet points and not more than 30 words. But they are going to be quite detailed because we are going to cover everything that we expect most of our mature learners studying with us, because they have a job, they have family, they're working full time. So they attend these sessions, and these sessions are expected to give them 85-90% of the knowledge. And if you miss out on any session, then all these sessions are recorded. So you'd be able to see recorded lectures of these sessions, and recorded lectures of these sessions would essentially be clearly covering what has been discussed in those sessions. Now, these recordings are live recordings. They would have some sort of verbatim in between as well if there are learners on the session. And the advantage of joining the live sessions is that you have the advantage to ask questions, discuss, and interact with the lecturer. Because if you're listening into recordings, then it tends to be what is called, one way only. But when you're on the sessions, it allows for interaction. So that is why we encourage our learners to join these sessions and ask questions and interact with the lecturer. Now, sometimes you'd find under the learning outcomes and the presentation, there'll be some additional documents given. And these additional documents would be required because sometimes it's difficult to cover everything in the presentation of the lecture. So we give you some additional reading documents, and these additional reading documents are concise documents of between 7 to 10 pages. Sometimes they tend to be reports and articles. Depending on how much you want to study in detail and you want to go into detail, they would be useful for you, not just for personal knowledge and reading of the unit, but also for doing your assignment. Now, this is how the content is laid out on Moodle. Now, what do you see on Moodle? There are 4 types of documents that you're going to get. One are going to be PDF documents. They will open straight away on your machine. They're going to be recorded sessions, which will take you to YouTube. There'll be Word documents that we expect you to download and use them as template. Because in some cases, we will also provide you some sort of templates which are going to make it easier for you to essentially do the assignment at a later stage. So in this research unit, as you can see, what we don't want you to do is reinvent the wheel by, looking at submitting a research proposal. So what we've done is we've created a research template. And this particular template, we give you an example of how you need to select a research topic. How do you look at shortlisting the objectives? You put the background down, then the rationale of the research, key areas, ethical considerations, what sources you would look at for a literature review, sources of information where you get from, and what could be the conclusion that you will draw. So when you fill this template up and contextualize it, that means you use it for your context and fill it and send it, it does away with you completing task 1 and 2 of the assignment. So sometimes in certain units, we are also going to provide you templates. Now, these templates are going to help us standardize the answers so that you don't need to, beat around the bush as far as the content is concerned. And at the same time, they will be helpful to keep your work concise and summarized to the tasks which are required to be done in the assignment. So similarly, in Unit 6, what you're going to see is that we've got learning styles, we've got skills audit template, smart objective template, and skills audit for a health and social care worker. So these templates are going to be useful for you simply because there are tasks and they are labeled as these to help you complete these tasks. So each of these templates, this is task 4.2 in your assignment. So if you fill the skills template up, that will complete your task 4.2 in assignment. When you do your 4.2 is basically skills audit and smart objectives. Then if you want to do the merit task, if you fill this template up, it will help you achieve that merit task. So these templates we have provided primarily because we feel that it is going to be making it easier for you to achieve some of the objectives of the unit. And that is what would always be available as Word documents. So you can fill them up and you can just mention your name and then fill them up with the instructions given, and they would meet the requirements of your assignment as well. Now, this system is something that you're going to be using time and again for the duration of your course. And that is why we say this is one of the most important systems that you should have access to, and you should clearly know what kind of material is available. There are books integrated for each of the unit, and they are also available for the purposes of study specifically for each of the units. So for example, if you look at human growth development, there are 2 books which are available for you to be able to use and study, and they would be traditional textbooks that you need to have rather than go to Google or find places and things elsewhere. So we'll be providing everything to you from the system, and this will come across in the form of regular prescribed textbooks by the awarding body. They're not just any textbooks, they're recommended for each of the units, and that is why we provided them here so that you have them available for the purposes of deeper study or getting deeper knowledge. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
So these are the bits on the system. Just very briefly looking at the course handbook, which is the first document. Now, obviously, this particular handbook is about 33 pages long. There are pages in this handbook that we've already taken out and uploaded in individual units. But what you need to be going through in this course handbook, just as a bit of a bedside reading, is that you need to know about the awarding body. So there is some background about ATHE, which is Awards for Training in Higher Education. You've met the eligibility criteria in any case. If you need to refer to the qualification number when you make a UCAS application or when you apply to university, you know the off-call registration number for this qualification. The bits which are going to be important here that I'm going to show you is that, one, you have to keep in mind the grading criteria, which is important, which is given on page 9, 10, and 11. So this is a summary of the qualification. Basically, there are 6 units. Each of the units have different credits. So you have to be mindful of the fact that when you are studying, you're going to pay more attention to getting a better grade in a unit which has higher credit. So for example, if I look at unit 1, it's 12 credit, unit 2 is 10 credit, unit 3 is 5. So human growth development is a unit which is quite detailed, but if you see the number of credit it has only 5 credits. So I would be paying attention to units like research, working in healthcare, principles and core values of healthcare, and structure and overview of the health and social care sector, because these units carry higher credits. Now, higher credits translate into higher grading as well. So that is why it is important for you to, sometimes when we say it's important for us to focus where the value is or where the worth is. So here, if I go down to page, 12, it helps me understand what is the grading criteria. Now, assuming in the first unit you get a pass, so whatever is the credit of the unit, it will be multiplied by 3. So that means pass multiplied by credits of the unit, which is 12 multiplied by 3, you get 36 points. But if you have a unit which is 15 credit and you achieve a distinction, you get 75 points. And that will total up to the 6 units, and that will decide your grading criteria. So the grading criteria is quite clerical. It is not that Chennai is my favorite student and I'll give her all the merits and distinctions. I can't do that. This is something determined by the system. And what you have to do is understand how the grading criteria works, because the more grades you get or the higher grades you get, the chances, if you do apply to study at uni at a later stage, would be better, because UCAS tariff or points for your qualification would be higher. So normally a pass gets 48, a merit gets 65, and a distinction gets 95 points on UCAS tariff, which means when universities look at clearing system, if you do decide to study healthcare or nursing in the future, then they would give you precedence to admission because you have scored higher grades when you have studied the qualification. So in this course handbook, my suggestion would be to read some of the pages, page 9 onwards to page 12, because they would give you some background in terms of the units and the credit and the grading criteria, which is required that you have in your mind to be able to achieve when you study this qualification. Now, one other thing which is important in this course handbook, which you need to take care of, is malpractice. Now, this has become quite important because of the fact that now artificial intelligence can be used, and awarding bodies are very clear that if we do get to see evidence of awarding assignments being written using AI, then obviously there are, they have deterrents to basically say, as a center, we need to ensure that this does not happen, and we need to tell learners that they need to be able to write their work and create their work on their own rather than using software or, similarity-based softwares to be able to write the assignment. So there are two things which happen at our end when we get, say, for example, if I put it this way, that if I look at showing you a particular report, what tends to happen is that when we do receive an assignment, and that assignment typically, say, has over 20% similarity, we have to flag it off, and that flagging off happens by sending you a report. So this is an assignment which has been submitted by a learner, and what we see in this is that the probability of this being written by AI is 40%, which is not acceptable. So anything over 40%, 20% is not acceptable. Plagiarism, which is similarity on copying and pasting of the work from third-party sources to in your own assignment, cannot be, is not allowed over 20%. So in such cases, what will happen is you'll get a report back to say, can you look at this report and, go back and then paraphrase and reference the material so that this becomes your own document rather than something that you've taken from somewhere else. So these reports will be shared back with you, considering that awarding body guidelines make it mandatory now for us to ensure that we scan them for plagiarism and also for AI detection. Now, this bit of pages 8 to 13 are important for you to go through so that you have a good understanding of it in terms of the course overview. Rest of the pages, as you can see, we've taken them out and uploaded them in individual units, which are primarily unit specifications or details of what you're expected to cover in the unit. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so now if I go back, there are a couple of other documents which I would say, are you familiar with referencing?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have done is we've created a presentation on Harvard referencing, which is uploaded here. For those of us, because we understand it's back to school for some of us after a number of years, and because we're working, we need to be able to give credit to authors, publishers, creators who have created the work, and that is done through the method of referencing. So if you need to refresh referencing and referencing methods, in the UK, most universities, awarding organizations use Harvard referencing method. This is also called the author date style method. And here you can reference your work in 3 different ways. Either by using direct quotations, when we exactly copy a definition or a framework and put it into our assignment, you have to include some part of that in inverted commas. And sometimes when we read the material and then write it in our own words without changing the meaning of it, then in those cases, we call it paraphrasing. So there are two ways to reference, and then referencing has been explained here. So we write the name of the author and the year in which it was published. If it's two authors, then it'll be two last names. If it's three authors, three last name. And if there are more than three authors, then you use the word et al. That means Morris and team have created this. Now, you can also choose to have a bibliography towards the end, which means list of sources from which material has been taken. So this presentation helps you refresh and go through what is Harvard referencing. There's a video of it also that we have uploaded here, and that video can be watched to visually see how do we do Harvard referencing. Now, there are some additional good handouts that we've put up here, which you could use at a later stage. One of them is command verbs. The command verbs are quite important because if you know what is the word and what is the meaning of that word, then it allows you to appropriately answer the task. Now, what we've done is we've grouped these words into three different formats: pass, merit, and distinction. So depending on the assignment brief, when you look at, sometimes you'll have these words, and these words, if you know the meanings of it, would be useful because they will help you understand how much to write, word limit. Sometimes we get asked the question, what is the word limit? So in such cases, this would come in quite handy. Now, other bits that we want you to go through is, for example, have a good understanding of who are the key people that you would be in touch with and how you would get in touch with us. So this particular handout that we've got here tells you how to get in touch with the administration team and the tutorial team. So if I just magnify this very briefly on your screen, so these are people that you can write to with their email addresses and how they would be helpful in what areas should you have any issues or problems. And this could be one of the useful handouts that you have downloaded at your end by saving it on your machine. So for example, if you need to book tutorials, you need some additional time for submission of assignments, you need to get an assignment brief, you need to look at requesting a plagiarism report. So for example, sometime what happens is I'm doing my LLM with Anglo Ruskin University and I'm creating a dissertation. Sometimes I write to my lecturer, my supervisor, Comfort, and I say, can you please check this work and scan for plagiarism and send it back to me because I've created a working document. So those requests can be done rather than at the last when I finish my assignment and upload it and find there's lots of plagiarism. It's best to do it in the meanwhile when you have created a draft of your work. And that could be giving you an opportunity to check before you do a final submission. If you lose your Moodle username, password, or you have issues, then all those bits can be, got from this key sheet, which is available up on Moodle here. And I would suggest that you look at this particular sheet at any given point in time. Now, there is an assignment submission presentation as well that we've got here. And that presentation is something which I would ask and request you to look at, because at any given stage, what tends to happen is when you do submit your assignment, there is a certain guideline that you need to follow. And that guideline that you need to follow is given up, in this particular presentation. So this is something that you should go through before you start submitting your assignment. Now, in the first assignment, what will happen is that we are going to give you a lot of feedback, because what we want you to do is fall in line, understand what are the requirements, and do things in a way which will allow you to achieve the higher grades. So our feedback would be developmental to you to allow you to achieve the grades that you want to achieve. We are going to support you, give you, in clear directive feedback to say, this is how you need to do the submission of the assignment. So this presentation, essentially 4 or 5 slides tells you how to be, making sure that you're submitting something which is a good quality piece of work, and that allows you to achieve the grade. So every assignment that you submit, you would need to have what is called a declaration that you need to submit. And this is available as a Word document on Moodle. I'll show you. And that can be downloaded. So every assignment that you submit has to come with that. Then there are some do's and don'ts. Write your name, maybe the unit name, page numbers, date of submission. Make sure you copy the tasks as it is from the assignment brief. Don't omit the command verbs, and making sure that you're staying away from, plagiarism in particular. So the idea here is to guide you on that aspect. And if you go over the word limit of 5 to 5,500 words, that should ring alarm bells that, I'm writing too much for the assignment. And then some of the best practices that we've shared primarily to ensure that you are able to achieve the grades that you want to achieve. Now, all assignment submission is done on this mailbox, learnerwork@ukversity, and you get a acknowledgement email that your work has been received. And within 5 to 7 working days, you'll get feedback, from the lecturer who's essentially marking this particular unit. And what I'm going to do is just very briefly show you one such example of how the assignment marking actually works, so that you're able to see and understand this from a point of view of, when you get this feedback on your script, you would be able to see how we give you the feedback to say what you've done correct, what you've not done correct. So I'm just opened up one particular assignment. And in this assignment, what happens is when you submit this over to us, you're going to see that on the right-hand side, we're going to put some comments. Now, this commenting will not be visible to you on a tablet or a phone because the screen size is small. So it will only be available as speech bubbles. But when you open it on a laptop, desktop, Mac, or PC, you're going to see the commenting. Now, this commenting will inform you that your work is meeting the criteria and what evidence you've presented is actually meeting the goals and objectives of the assignment brief. So generally speaking, if you see in this particular assignment, most of the work is meeting the criteria. The commenting is acknowledging that you are doing the task correctly. And in some cases, if we do find that the task is not meeting the criteria, then what we're going to do is ask you to use the same document which we send back and make changes to it. And when you make changes to it, what will happen is we will ask you to, essentially include more details of those changes. And those changes that you add in terms of text or words, we will ask you to highlight them in yellow.
Okay.
The yellow highlighting will do two things. One, it quickly tells the teacher that, or the tutor marking it to say, okay, these are the changes which the learner has done. And according to my comments, these changes are fine. And now it is absolutely fine to be going ahead. And the other bit would be that from a point of view of, showing it to the awarding organization, it also gives us a clear, visible, see here that we are able to say that, okay, this was the feedback, that is how learner made the change, and now the learners managed to achieve the grade. So this bit has to be done on the assignments, and you have to use the same document that we send back to you for making any changes on it, rather than starting a new document, so that the paper trail can also be maintained as far as the submissions are concerned. This process, when it is complete, what will happen is you would also get a final grade on your assignment. So if I show you how that final grade is then confirmed on your assignment, this is what is called the assessment sheet. And this assessment sheet will have the task, the assignment that you've submitted, some comments here, and then towards the end, we'll put a grade. What grade have you achieved? And this will be verified by Shazia, who's the IQA, to say that, okay, yes, what the learner has presented is fine, and the assessor is, being consistent and fair in terms of the judgment, and the grade accordingly would be awarded. So this would also become a record that you would keep at your end to say that I've now completed this unit and I can move on to the next one. So this is how assignment feedback process essentially works. When you get the annotated document back along with the front cover sheet, and in some cases, you would also be getting a scan back for your reference, which will be the GPT scan or the AI detection scan and the plagiarism scan. You can also keep this at your end for your reference. So 3 documents come to you on assessment. 1, the front cover sheet, the scan of the document, and the third is your annotated assignment, so that you are able to keep a record of this for yourself as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's all right.
Good stuff. Now, just quickly going back to the agenda. So what we've done in the induction is we've looked at a bit of a brief, course overview. We've looked at systems demo, which include, Zoom that you're using, Moodle, the website, and I would suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Okay.
These are the requirements to set up Moodle if you want to do so on your phone. I've shown you the assessment and feedback process, and I've also virtually introduced the team to you so that you know how to get in touch with us. Now, you can get in touch with us through WhatsApp, phone, email, and you are in the healthcare WhatsApp group, and all the students on that group are doing the level 3 health and social care course. And that is where you could also have a bit of an interaction with some of the other learners, keeping in mind privacy. That group is not for sharing jokes or videos, primarily just details of, course or announcements that we do from time to time. Now, the sessions that we are currently having on Unit 3, which is completed, is Saturday and Sunday, and Unit 3 was being taught by Mazhar. So you'll be looking at getting invites for the next unit from Jill this week, and hopefully you should be able to get onto these sessions on Saturday and Sunday, with Dr. Anita or Daniel this time.
Okay.
Any questions at your end?
No, not really. I think I need to go through the module and see what's there. Then maybe I'll have more questions there.
Absolutely fine. So if you think of any questions after this session, then my session would be drop us an email. So two things which I will mention to you just to make it easier. So one is, if you have any queries related to unit or teaching, or say a question related to the unit, so you need to send an email to learner work. So this mailbox is shared with the tutors. So what happens is, because we teach so many different units, we have one mailbox in which all the queries come. So if you have a question like, okay, just a simple question would be, when do I submit my assignment? That could be one question. So you could send it to learner work. You could submit your assignment to learner work. You could also ask a question that I've read Unit 3, I've gone through the recordings, but I have some doubts and queries. How can I discuss? And then Jill will pick this up and she will write back to you, say, we want to do a tutorial with you. And that could be done on the day or time you want with a particular tutor, and that will allow you to address those queries. If I have a question related to, okay, how much do I need to write in the Word for this particular task 3.1, it could be as specific as that question, and you send an email to learner work, you'll get a response in a couple of minutes, and that would allow you to move on, rather than, unlike universities wherein they take 5 to 7 days to respond to your emails. The other bit would be, if you need to get in touch with regards to getting an assignment brief or a recording or a presentation, then in such cases, the idea would be to, get in touch with relevant people like Gartha or Grace, or, sometimes you might have to write to Jill. Now, it is very easy to write to anybody at UK Versity. It is just the first name followed by ukversity.co.uk. So if you need to write to me, it's Raman at UK Versity. If you need to write to Gartha, it will be Gartha at UK Versity. If you need to write to Grace, if you need to write to Jill, Amandeep, just the first names, and that will be all. Even if you have to write to tutors, Daniel at Anita at Mazhar at. But provided you know the first names, and that is how easy to write to somebody in UK Versity.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So I think that helps me conclude today's induction session. I've taken slightly more time than what was required, but I hope this thorough session has been useful. And I will also share a copy of this recording with you in the next couple of minutes after the session. And I hope you have a very good experience with us. I know that you filled the graduation form as well to attend the graduation. So you are in a batch which is expected to complete towards the last week of July, although it might be slightly rushed. But my suggestion would be, we'll try and get you over the finishing line as long as you keep doing your assignments and keep submitting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about that. So, okay.
So not to worry on that. I think there are sessions which are planned, regular sessions for the next 4 weeks. which will
Okay.
cover at least 3 to 4 units, and you would be pretty much towards the end of your course when you come in to attend the graduation. So you can self-study also through Moodle, essentially because all the material, everything is already available on Moodle, and
Yeah,
that
I've
should
seen
allow
it
you to
there.
even read ahead. All the units, everything, you should be able to read ahead. Now, if you see a unit which has a yellow outline box around it, that
Yeah.
means that particular unit is currently being delivered, in terms of live sessions, and you are expected to get invites for those from Jill. So
Okay.
next unit is going to be research project that we're going to start off, and you'll get the invites, I think, later this week, Thursday or Friday. So make sure that you keep attending the sessions. If you're self-studying, you can read into the recordings, go into the sessions yourself, and then even start doing the assignments at your end.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for attending, and I'll be in touch with you over the next few days and weeks, and hopefully we'll get to see you during the graduation as well.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thanks for today. Thanks,
Thanks, Sinai.
Gita.
Take care. Thank
It was
you.
nice of you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.